Even before we got onto that topic, I think the testimony by the couple from the Philippines was most significant, because what it told us was, you know, there are many problems in the whole area of family life, but where there is strong faith, those problems can be met and can be overcome. I think that was the great tone setter for whatever came after that. I think what it did do as well was, at least in my own mind, was whatever topics were then spoken about, I was measuring them against the context of an actual life testimony of a couple. And I think that's very important for us, because we so often people say, what do you know about families and so on, you know? And yet we come from families, we're working with families all the time. And I think it was very important for us to have that. The question of natural law, I think, what I found there was somebody saying, let's try and find other ways of saying natural law, because when we use those terms, there are many people, we just shut them off. They don't think in those categories anymore, or maybe they don't know they are still thinking in those categories, but they're using different language. So he's saying, let's use other language so that we can make contact. I think the gist of this morning's thing was, how can we make contact with people on the level of the natural law and the family being a natural institution? The unique things about this synod was, when the questionnaires went out, we thought we'd get very different answers from other parts of the world. But in fact, the answers were very globalized. It was like the global culture has overtaken us. There are some things that are very specific to us. Polygamy would be one of those things that's very specific to us. A migrant labor system which separated husbands and fathers from their families, very, very particular problem for us. And it's going to be a long time before we overcome those there, because it set a whole culture in place where men just naturally leave their families and go off and work. And of course, they make up a second family, maybe a third one. So polygamy comes into the question very easily there in South Africa. However, we've also had the blessing of getting Couples for Christ coming into our country from the Philippines. And that is making a significant, small but significant difference in those families that have taken up this way of living their life as a couple, as a family that's committed to Christ.